Hello, welcome to Natemare Flix. I'm Nate, you're you, and as you can see by this shirt today, we're going to be talking a little Jason Voorhees, a little Friday the 13th, specifically the reboot that we got in 2009. This is going to be the first entry in a little limited series I'm doing here on the Natemare Flix channel. We're going to go back to that era, that 2007 to 2010 kind of era, where we just rebooted all of the big three slashers. You know, I'm talking Freddy, Michael, Jason, and we're going to look at these films and see which one fared the best. Do a little retrospective. How do we feel about these movies now? Because, you know, we didn't have the warmest reception for most of them when they first came out. They took on a lot of hate. Did we jump the gun? Do we have better feelings now, or were we justified in feeling that way? Were these movies just a really bad idea and poorly executed? So, if you're into the big three of slashing, if you are a horror fan and you want to watch these, and you know, you love these movies, or you just love to hate these movies, as a lot of people do, then be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. That way you know when these videos come up, because over the next 2 weeks I'm going to be pumping these out. And yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the 2009 version of Friday the 13th. This movie was directed by Marcus Nespel, and it stars Jared Padalecki and Danielle Panabaker, and then we get a portrayal of Jason Voorhees by Derek Mears. And that right there is my first plus. Upon watching this again, I have to say Derek Mears solidified himself as one of the best Jason Voorhees we've ever had. A lot of people love Kane Hodder as Jason. They think that is the guy, that is the Jason for a lot of people. And I get that. I think Kane Hodder's amazing. I don't know though, you know, Derek Mears gives him a run for his money. I'm not sure who I would say does it better, but Derek Mears just brings such a presence as Jason, that giant physique that, you know, you want in a Jason, and then he's just so brutal and quick moving. He just really captures it. You know, between the physique, the stance, the moving, the way he moves his body, he's just a very terrifying, brutal Jason that you can tell would do a lot of damage at Camp Crystal Lake. So that's a plus. And just to be completely transparent, when I sat down to watch this, I was a little bit like, this one, because when this movie came out, I was amongst those that hated it. I think this movie has like a 19% or 29%. It's one of those on Rotten Tomatoes, which, you know, these horror movies, they never do too well, but that is just too much hate. A lot of people are like, man, they ruined Friday the 13th. This isn't a Friday the 13th movie. And now watching it again with a fresh perspective and an open mind, what were we talking about? This movie does Friday the 13th so well. I think the biggest issue a lot of people have is that it's so glossy and the production value is so high. But you know what? It was a modern movie with some real backing, and I think they did some great things with it. We have some really good kills in this movie. The cinematography is pretty dang great. There's some real production value here, and I'm not against that anymore. I think it's a little foolhardy to do that. And I think we just like to get up our own butts a little bit. We get a little stuck with nostalgia. We build some things up and make them more special than they were, because some of the biggest ways that people attack this movie, it's just kind of silly. It's ill-conceived. Because let's say you were like, yeah, but you know, there's just some really ridiculous stuff like that hillbilly character who's like coming on to the mannequin. What was that? I don't need that. That's disgusting and weird, and what an atrocious character. He's just there to get killed. Well, it's like, well, yeah, but you're a Friday the 13th fan? You like the franchise? So those redneck characters at the beginning of 3, they don't gross you out. They're not weird or off-putting or a little exaggerated. How about 5? With the mom who keeps making soup and her dim-witted son, you know, old hillbilly boy out there on his dirt bike just going in circles screaming for what feels like 5-10 minutes. How do you like them? Because they are far worse and they are in the movie longer. So you can't give me that. Now, if you're like, oh, you know, it's too much sex, it's too much nudity, I will again direct you to 5. Or even 4. Where that's maybe the best Friday the 13th, but everybody in that movie, all they care about is sex. I mean, for goodness sakes, we have twins and twins! Yeah, we got twins there that are just nothing more than 2 women that are being, you know, exploited for sex. Our nerdy characters, they care about sex. Our goody two-shoes girl, she cares about sex. Everybody in that movie is trying to get laid. Even little Corey Feldman is a horny little SOB. You know, when he's looking across this, the way and he sees the teenagers in the room, he's getting his peeping Tom on, he's super excited. It's an amazing scene, but he's got the nookie on the brain. Everybody in this franchise does, so it's really weird that you would watch this movie and hold that against it. I will give you that those just ridiculously fake, ridiculously hard boobies. America Olivia is rocking in this thing. It takes you out of the scene a little bit. You're like, I don't know, I'm not buying her as the camping type. And are these supposed to be run-of-the-mill kids? That does take me out of this movie. And so, okay, that is in here, but that's kind of what you show up for, right? You know, if you are a die-hard Friday the 13th fan, you're there for what? Sex, some crazy kills, and just, you know, an adrenaline-packed good time. And you don't really care so much about story, probably. But this movie does a good job with story. It does a lot of callbacks, but not in like a over-the-top way. For example, a lot of people look at the 2018 version of Halloween, they go, too many homages, too many callbacks, you know, enough is enough. It's gratuitous when you start to do it at that level. This movie doesn't do that. This movie really takes some of the high notes of the franchise and brings them back, but it doesn't do it in an over-the-top manner. They just fit naturally into the story. It's a recapitulation of some of the best aspects of this series. You get the high notes and it's repackaged in a really lovely way. I love the way they deliver it. I'm talking about in the end when they're in like the little farmhouse and Jason bursts through the glass and grabs at the character. That's an example of like something from the second movie. There's just stuff all throughout here, but then there's also a lot of misdirection. You see Danielle Panabaker and like, that's our final girl, and you're with her, you're invested, and then they do a little, whoa, I got you, she's not safe. Who is safe? We don't know. You know, did we just see Jared Paladecki's character get killed? You'll have to wait and find out. They do a lot of stuff with this movie. Or you'll be like, they're set up for a callback here. That America Olivia character, she's about to be taken up in the sleeping bag and given the old whop whop up against the tree. And that's not what they do. So I have to say, I was really happy when I sat down and watched this movie. I wish I had given it another chance sooner, and if you want to, you can. This is on Netflix right now. Obviously, a lot of people right now have a lot of free time to be watching movies, so maybe give this thing another go if you've been too hard on it in the past. And if you're still hard on it, think about what are your favorite Friday the 13th movies, and what do you love about those movies? Are those elements in this movie? Because they probably are. What does this movie do that you find so criminal? Is it that you're like, oh, the characters, they're too stereotypical. You're telling me you got the one black dude who's into making his own rap music, hanging out with the nerdy Asian stoner, and you know, the hot party blonde girl, and then the like Matthew McConaughey ripoff, and then the super rich dude. That's not anything too crazy. Look at like Part 7. Those are the most extreme stereotypes and like clicked characters you will ever find in movies. That's what these movies do. So, you know, I just think it's a little bizarre. I think that we grew up with these films and they take on extra importance, and we put them up on a pedestal, and then when we get a new iteration, we're so ready to attack Hollywood and be like, you're just being lazy and rehashing stuff. You know, it's weird. It's a weird thing as fans, because you want new stuff. You want Jason to live on, but at the same time, you're so protective that you start to attack and tear it down. And that's not a good idea, because this movie came out in 2009, and then a year later, we got the Freddy reboot or remake, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and that movie, in my opinion, is a way worse exercise at rebooting a franchise. It is a complete mess, so be sure to subscribe if you want to hear my take on that, because when I rewatched that on Netflix, I was like, oof, this is way rougher than I expected. And then I sat down and watched this, and I was like, man, high school me was a dick, because I was way too hard on this movie. This is a really fun movie. If you like Friday the 13th, it may be time to get over it, guys, because this movie is a really good one. It's a shame we're so hard on it, and because now we're not getting them. Now there's all this little weird legal drama going on surrounding this franchise, and we're not getting them. I know we're getting the Never Hike Alones on YouTube and stuff like that, and those are cool. I recommend, if you love Jason, go check out Never Hike Alone. It's really cool to see a fan film that is executed at that level. But that being said, Jason belongs on the big screen, so hopefully that all gets figured out real quickly, because I think the 2009 version is testament to just how great this franchise can still be, and that this is a really good ride. And yeah, nothing but love for Mr. Voorhees, and I've really enjoyed this movie. So be sure to check it out if you haven't. If you have a young horror fan in your life and you're trying to get them into the genre, this might be the type of movie to show them. That being said, like I said, if you like this video, please help me out. Like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell so that you get the updates, and you can check out the videos on Rob Zombie's Halloween, and of course that Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and just everything else this channel does. If you have any suggestions for what kind of content you'd like to see, be sure to comment that as well. Other than that, you have a fantastic day. I'm Nate for Natemare Flix saying that's a wrap.